Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon, where I am taking a look at every classic Doctor Who story, plus some big finishes, one by one, one episode per day, with a few exceptions. Today's the 16th of July, 2017, and I just finished watching The Watcher, the first episode of The Time Meddler, which is the Season 2 finale. I can't believe it, but I'm actually nearly done with Season 2. It's, of course, and it's only taken me about 3 months. Hopefully these episodes will, of course I know the episode length will get shorter, but without further ado, let's get into this first episode. And I have to say, this is the first episode without Ian Barber as a companion, so it has a lot to do in terms of, to make me actually, feel like it's, because this is a big change. Like, this is bigger than Susan leaving. This is the most important change. And I have to say that Dennis Spooner, the author of this episode, does an excellent job at making the Doctor and Vicky really feel like they're the main characters, and of course doing a good way to reintroduce the audience to Stephen Taylor. Dennis Spooner's script is on top form here, with a bunch of little jabs like, this is this, and that's a chair with a panda on it. Sheer poetry, my boy, sheer poetry, and what do you think it is, a space helmet for a cow? These little jabs that have the Doctor and Vicky having this great comedic relationship with each other as they sort of poke fun at Stephen, who's, of course, doubting that you don't have time travel. That's not even possible in my time, and I'm from the future. So yeah, you have what's essentially a really witty script and a pretty good starter to the plot. I mean, you have everybody landing in 1066, but there are these anachronisms. They find, of course, a Viking helmet and a wristwatch, and they also find a gramophone in a castle in a monastery where there's only a single monk, who is the Watcher that the title refers to. And I have to say that the monk is an interesting character, as he seems that he's going to be the villain of the piece, and it'll be interesting to see how Peter Butterworth, who plays the character, the little bit that we get, he's all mysterious and a bit comedic in places, but not too much. It's actually quite a good performance. Everybody gets a good performance. Like, you have the Doctor actually mingling with the locals, like, where am I? Oh, now I know where I am, because I have no idea how to fly my spaceship, which really makes me laugh, because that just is a Doctor Who thing to do. I can't fly my spaceship. I don't know what I'm doing from the start. It's really quite good, I have to say, in my opinion, that you have the Doctor not being able to do the things that you think he should be able to do, you also have a really good conclusion with the monk actually capturing the Doctor and locking him up in a cell, and that's how we end the episode. That's actually, I think, really good. I have to say that The Watcher is going to be the first episode since The Wheel of Fortune to receive a 10 out of 10. Alright, it is the 17th of July, 2017, and I just finished watching The Meddling Monk, the second episode of The Time Meddler, and I have to say, what strikes me about this episode is that William Hartnell is missing for the entirety of the runtime, because he's on vacation, and you honestly don't miss him. This episode was written perfectly, because you have the Doctor captured by the monk. You only really see him you really see the Doctor basically giving the monk trouble through pre-recorded messages, obviously, but it's the joy, there's the way that Douglas Camfield decided to do that while Hartnell had his vacation really works. And it also plays into the cliffhanger where you have Vicky and Stephen making it into the monastery to find the Doctor missing, and Vicky and Stephen are an interesting pair. They really work off each other, and they work off each other comedically. A lot of this episode works as a comedy, and it's honestly pretty funny. You have jokes being made at everybody's expense. Really good lines like, well, you have two choices for breakfast. You can have some blackberries or some blackberries. It's just delivery like that. Peter Purves is an excellent actor, and he works really well at making everything, sort of fit together nicely with the characters working together, and just having everything sort of exist on its own, and to have just a really good chemistry with Maureen O'Brien and William Hartnell, and everything seems to be falling in place for the story, and it seems like we're going to have a really good TARDIS team if the dynamic keeps up. I mean, you don't quite forget about Ian and Barbara, but now you have this new dynamic really to enjoy, and it sort of mixes things up and makes the story feel very unique from what's come before. It also helps us that we have that we now have one. We have a I don't we I think we have a new script editor. I think, and we haven't basically Douglas Camfield returning for a director, and we have a new villain, and we have a new sort of style story with this style where it's obviously a historical story, but it's not purely historical because there's obviously these anachronisms, and you get to discover with Stephen to realize no, this might really be 1066, and these anachronisms are all really happening, and it's all really really good. There's also Dennis Spooner also writes his side characters with panache. Well, they don't all have memorable names. They're all memorable. They all feel like people. They're just trying to protect their land, and we actually get Vikings to appear in this one. So you have Vikings fight, and it's all done pretty well overall. I have to say, with a lot of the fights being good, the direction, of course, is excellent, and I think the music is a rather interesting choice as we have this sort of traditional drum beat going on in the story, which I don't know. To me, that feels sort of natural for this one to have that drum beat be a part of the story, just as the music. It's one of the few times where I've really noticed the music. It's not Dudley Simpson, who's been doing a couple of other stories recently. I don't think Simpson actually did the last story Camfield directed, The Crusade. I don't think he ever actually returns to do another Camfield one, but he'll be back soon enough as composer, and he'll eventually establish himself as the Doctor Who composer. I have to say, it's the second episode really, it keeps the story going at a snappy pace. We really have made the story go forward, and seems like we're actually getting somewhere in terms of what the style of the story is going for. And I have to, the direction's good, the music's good, the pacing's good, the acting's good. It'll be great to see Hartnell back again in the next episode, but until then, I have to give The Meddling Monk a 10 out of 10. Alright, so it's the 18th of July 2017, and I just finished watching A Battle of Wits, the third episode of The Time Meddler, and I have to say the quality continues up, with William Hartnell returning from his vacation to steal the show away from Vicky and Stephen for a bit, as he and the monk have this amazing banter. They obviously know each other, and this is, of course, all culminating to another great cliffhanger, which is, of course, the twist, which I won't reveal until the end, when I wrap up my thoughts on this third episode, because that's in a league of its own, and that deserves its own little separate section for discussion. But a battle of wits. It's really, you have the Doctor and the monk. They're talking to each other, and they're trying to obviously outsmart each other with a lot of the episode is them arguing over opening the door, and it's like, well, you could be planning this. Oh, but then you could do this, and then this, and it's this amazing sort of just back and forth Peter Butterworth and William Hartnell have together that just it makes me remember why I enjoy their characters so much and why I enjoy Doctor Who so much, just because of just the way these two characters are interacting, and you just have the monk being such an interesting sort of person. He's a really really good character. And of course that isn't to say that Vicky and Stephen aren't bad, because they are excellent. They're the ones that they're trying to figure out this whole thing about why everything's out of place. The Doctor seems to already know why everything's out of place, which of course gets into the big reveal of the cliffhanger. And then Stephen and Vicky, they go find around and they find a gun, and really, you sort of get really quite a bit of what the monk's planning, and really, I quite like a lot of the monk's stuff. The monk just has these hilarious little ticks, and he's a great villain. I don't think this is the final time we see him. I know he returns much later on, but I'm pretty sure he returns in another story upcoming. I actually legitimately don't remember because I haven't seen that story in a while. So, hopefully he returns, because he's been such a fun character to just interact with, and I really, really enjoy it. It really is about a battle of wits, is what this episode is. It's all witty. You sort of get the idea. The monk's trying to stop the Battle of Hastings, basically trying to stop William the Conqueror from coming through, and keeping Harold Godwinson on the throne. And it's an interesting sort of idea. I don't know much about the Battle of Hastings myself. It's not a a portion of history that I know that much about, but it's a good way of it's a good way of getting everything together. It's a good historical event to make this whole time meddler concept work, because he's changing history, and we already know you can't change history at all, because that's a lot of, well, we've seen it before in other episodes. It's something that doesn't happen, and you can't do it, so don't even try, because if you do it, you're in for hell to pay, and the doctor will be on you like a cat on a hot tin roof. It's something that you can't do it. I really enjoy. Also, this episode, the direction is, it's beautifully directed. Douglas Camfield is one of the best directors of the show, and seriously, whenever he's around, his episodes seem to be just top tier stuff. Like really, really, really good. I've really enjoyed this story. I hope Camfield comes back and directs stuff soon again, because it's just been a joy to have him as director. So, yeah, that's really what I have to say on the matter. He's an excellent director. He deserves just all the praise, like as much praise as I can give him. Like he's really sticks out. He makes the small set and small budget really feel like it's on another whole other level, where we just have big sets and amazing things, which we really don't, because this is such a small show. So yeah, and the drum music again is really good. So I'm gonna give a battle of wits. No, now to talk about, of course, the cliffhanger, because I don't want to score the episode yet. I forgot to talk about the cliffhanger. So the big cliff reveal is that the monk has a TARDIS. This clears up so much. Obviously, he's one of the Doctor's own people. This is the first time we've ever met someone who is the Doctor's own people, and it explains a lot why the Doctor seems to know him, why everything is coming out the way it is. So I really hope that everything works out, and the final episode has a lot to do, because this ending is paramount. If Dennis Spooner screws this ending up, that could ruin the whole story. I hope he doesn't, because it's been such a good ride. So I'm gonna have to give a Battle of Wits a 10 out of 10, continuing the streak of being a great story. Alright, it's still the 18th of July 2017, and I just finished The Time Meddler with Checkmate, the final episode of the story. And the ending very much did impress. I am shocked that we've already had two televised stories that of the highest quality, both in the same season of Doctor Who. I think Doctor Who's really found its footing now, because we've sort of got the final story. There's a decent amount of plot that happens in this episode, enough to really wrap everything up nice together into a neat sort of bow, with with Stephen and Vicky finding the monk has all of these weapons in the TARDIS and all these things from history. Like, he's already meddled with Leonardo da Vinci and tried to give him aerial flight, and he doesn't care about the rules of time travel, and it's the Doctor actually confronts him on this, and as soon as he finds out, well, you're not going to do it, okay, he goes to his TARDIS, meets up with Vicky and Stephen, and spoiler alert, but they take out the control that basically makes his TARDIS bigger on the inside, so now he's stuck there because he can't get back in, because he would crush everything because he'd be so big. I mean, sure, the sarcophagus has enough space, so I don't know how he's going to get out if he returns again, and I don't remember if they ever actually explain how he actually gets out of this situation, which, that's an interesting way of doing it, not giving him the out of getting out of the situation, which, it's funny. It's really good. I have to say, the humor in this episode is also really good. The Doctor, Stephen, and Vicky are hilarious. They really cement themselves as a team, and what's amazing is that at the end credits, before the credits roll, we get a sort of image of space and then Vicky's and Stephen and the Doctor's faces all appear in it, and then the credits start to roll. It's a great touch to show that this is the end of the season. We have our travelers, and we're going off for more adventures in space and time, and I really quite enjoy it. It really works for the story, I think, in my opinion. the aspects of it just sort of fall together into place, and we'll be seeing where everything sort of goes from here in the next story. Of course, people had to wait a month. We only have to wait. I only have to wait a day before I start watching the next story, which is I'll reveal that at the end. And I have to say that a lot of the, like, Peter Person, Maureen O'Brien, and William Hartnell, they all click together, and Peter Butterworth gives a great performance. You really see the shock and horror in his face where he realizes that the doctor's actually beaten him. It's something that I don't think the character was expecting, so it's really, really good. And again, a lot of the effects are good. The TARDIS set's good. Douglas Camfield actually plays around a lot with shadows in this episode. Part of that might be because this episode wasn't the most restored for the DVD because of slight print damage, so it couldn't be restored to its fullest. But a lot of the shadows really make the episode distinct and look really, really good. At least in my opinion, that's what the story seems to do. It looks good, it sounds good, everything works. The music is great. There's a great battle scene, even though like some of it, a little bit of it is still missing, and there's a pretty awkward cut because of it. I won't hold that against the episode because, of course, the little bit of film just is missing and probably will never be found, which is kind of sad because it could have been interesting to see how that sort of played out. Those 7 seconds of, well, I have to say, it was pretty gruesome. So I think, outside of that, there aren't any flaws in this episode. It's a satisfying conclusion. You have everything wrapped up nicely, and we're moving on to more adventures, and it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. All in all, I think I have to give Checkmate, the final episode of the Time Meddler, a 10 out of 10. That being said, we have finished the story, so of course the average score with all 4 episodes getting a 10 out of 10 is a 10 out of 10, with no surprises. The story is excellent. It's great to see the end of Season 2, so thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you haven't already, leave a comment if you agree with me or if you disagree, and don't forget to subscribe, as the next time on the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon we will be taking a look at again, the next televised story, the premiere of Season 3 in Galaxy 4.